right, we'll call this meeting to order for November 19th at 7:30 p.m.
Yeah. There you go. Minutes approval. Anybody got omissions, corrections for the minutes?
I just have some grammatical, just things that typos on the first page, and then one on the second, and one on the third page.
I wasn't there, but I did read through them, and I also saw some edits too.
Editorial. Okay. I'm happy to submit those.
Anybody else got any,
Yes.
anybody else got any omissions or corrections they'd like to enter? If not, can I have a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
I move to accept the minutes as presented.
I'll
Do
second.
I hear a, bring it to a vote? All those in
Ones that I
favor?
saw too.
Aye.
Aye.
I guess we got time for a little administrative discussions here.
Amy has ones that she wants to add.
Yeah, which I wrote down on Jim's also.
Which is that? What is it, Amy?
Well, the ones that are on there, the SWOT analysis, I forget what exactly that stands for, but that's,
Strength, weakness, opportunity, threat.
thank you, yeah. I didn't want to take it out. Oh, it's right in front of me. I was actually thinking that Andrew might want to be involved in that, but he hasn't shown up the last couple of meetings. So I didn't grab him before he left the last one. Unless there's somebody else who would be interested in sitting in on this. Otherwise, it would just be me and LCT would sit down with them and go through what
I attended
they're asking
the,
questions about, you know, what gaps are we struggling to fill? What are we doing with collaboration? What type of planning would be helpful with them? All sorts of stuff like that. Kind of a brainstorming thing, so.
What does SWAT stand for again? I missed the
Strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats.
threats. Okay. Regarding open space?
Regarding how SVT provides services.
Oh,
So I'll see, unless anybody else is dying to be part of this. I'll
when
see
is it again?
Oh, it's something just hasn't been set up yet.
Oh,
She just wants, they're trying to talk to everybody in the region, as many as they can.
Trying to talk somebody into doing it.
No, they want to understand what our needs are so that they can provide programs that may be of use to the towns.
I might.
So
be
I went back to her, I said, well, maybe I'm trying to get some open space and build some conservation trust people at the same time rather than doing this all at once, so.
How often does that West Suburban Conservation Council meet?
I don't know if they have regular meetings. I can get you on the list.
No, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
I mean, like this, if you think this is gonna come back with answers on it, it'd be neat just to see what the assessment is.
Yeah, I would assume that, you know, AmeriCorps is part of their project, so I would imagine she would come through with all the towns she gets to talk to. But when I try to set something up, I bet it's gonna be during the day, though.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't be able to do it. I'd be interested if it's in the evening.
That's not all right. Okay.
Okay. What about 53 Hartwell Ave shed removal and, you want to come up and talk to us?
Sure. Okay, so
Yeah.
I submitted, I don't know if you've got copies of it, I submitted a proposal for removing the shed outside of the conservation restriction.
Excellent.
Um,
Do you have any thoughts on? Do you have an extra
Yeah,
copy?
sorry, well, go ahead, I've got
Yeah.
lots of copies at home.
Yeah. No, it's fine. So how far will that move structurally for you?
Well, I mean, I'm only required to move it like about 5 feet to the right, but I'm actually putting it a bit further over,
Okay.
because that just happens to be where the easiest place to put it is. But-
Okay. Time frame to do so?
So I had requested to go through fall next year, because the planting season is spring or fall, and this is going to cost about $4,000. So.
To move it?
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be using the same shed,
Oh yeah.
just moving it?
Well, it's going to be using the same shed, but you can't really reuse the gravel base, and they're going to have to excavate. The issue here was that this is like just inside the conservation restriction. We picked that spot though because there's no vegetation.
Right.
The new spot we're going to have to take down about 3 or 4 trees.
Can you use the same stone and whatever,
Hopefully.
underneath it, to put it underneath it, and you're just moving it?
Hopefully, but the same guy who did the original work for me is going to do it for me again. He hopes he's going to be able to move all of it and reuse it, but I mean it's going to be like mixed in with mud. And, I mean, so probably most of it.
Taking
should
trees
be-
out, he's gonna
Yeah,
have some salad in it.
Yeah.
Just seems extreme.
I agree. But that's what I've been quoted by the guy who did the original work. I mean, he does our snow plowing and everything, so he's a good guy. But a friend has said that he thinks it's expensive as well. So between now and next year, I'm going to see if I can get a better quote than that. But
Can we authorize that if he wants to do it during the summer or during a different time, he can do that, and we just want to talk about revegetation of that place. So I think that you've been very gracious to come back and get this back to us in a timely manner, that we would support the removal of that with revegetation. So there would be, you could do that whenever you want, outside of right now.
right, I mean, there's a couple of things about the revegetation. I mean, you can see from the picture there really isn't anything there.
Mhm.
But also the other issue is that I should have taken a picture of the shed. Where I've put it, the reason that there's no vegetation there is because that spot floods like twice a year.
Okay,
Basically, there's a huge pond, so nothing really takes hold.
okay.
It's currently like it looks like it's on an island.
So you need more of a wetland type plant, or
Well,
at least whatever.
I don't really know what we would
Flooding.
put there because it would die probably the next time the snow melts or the rain comes in. But
It looked like there have been some saplings or something. It's typically not much understory,
Mhm.
because it's a wooded area.
so I can.
And part of it's also, lawn too, which would need to be reclaimed.
Yeah, well, yeah. So I mean, that bit, there's a tiny little fringe that
Right.
is currently. Well, I mean, I've never been able to get grass to grow there anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But so I'll just have that removed, and then what used to happen there was just it would just get overgrown in summer and die. And
Which will be part
Do
of
you
that.
do you have the stakes and the posts put in with the conservation
So the
easement?
temporary one is there. I accidentally backed over that with my dog tractor, so that's why it wasn't there whenever we walked it. But it's back in the same spot because the stump was there. I knew where it went.
Okay.
So yes, so whenever I think Glenn Berger still has to do that.
Supposed to.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I had asked to not have the same post though, because the other posts that are like in the trees are like that tall.
Okay.
And this, I don't really want to be looking at that out of the backyard, but so I don't know what I proposed one thing. I think you said you weren't really keen on it being flush with the ground, but
Right, and
Yeah,
Natural
maybe
Heritage
so.
didn't like that either.
Yeah, we can't change what National Heritage has approved.
oh, okay. So what are their conditions?
That they all be unison, so pretty much be the same as what's out there,
Right.
is my understanding.
I'll just put a bush or something in front of it and then go over the top
Yeah,
of it.
Yep,
exactly.
you can do that, absolutely.
Which is what someone at the other end is doing.
But the idea, I guess, is like if you are to sell, it's a permanent marker,
Mhm.
and if it's
I was
Yeah.
going to propose that because we've got, I don't know whether this probably isn't acceptable, but at the top of our driveway, we've got a big rock with a metal plaque on it with like 51 and 53 Hartwell.
Right,
Quite nice.
at the top of it.
yeah.
I was thinking something like that might work because you can't move that. But I don't know.
I think they look for things that are in unison of one another.
Right.
Okay.
Sure.
Is
I
there
mean,
anything-
again, I mean, it's on conservation land, so your call, but that area floods. So
Right.
I don't know whether that stake's going to stay up over time.
Not
but
gonna last.
If it goes in
Oh, it's
2
just,
feet.
they put them in concrete and they're set a
Okay.
good 2 feet down.
Okay.
So
It won't
they
rot.
should definitely stay.
Okay.
So do you want any revegetation, or do you want to talk about that after he moves the shed
I
and
think
take a look
once,
at it?
once you have it moved, you
Yeah.
can see what's remaining after they've excavated the gravel out.
Oh, so what we were proposing on doing was basically just a straight swap. The material that gets excavated where we're putting the shed, we'll put that back in the old spot.
Yeah, last time I went out and saw the floors as your neighbors, I took a picture of your shed, which is like a little moat
Yeah, it's like
shaped above with the
it's like an
water
island. Yeah.
around it, yeah. And there's a lot of water flowing down
Mhm.
across the volleyball court.
Right, yeah, from the
That's kind of like, I mean, it is actually to do with, no, it's not connected to this issue, but I think I brought this up for you before. I don't know what, years and years and years ago, I think I wrote to you guys, or maybe it was just straight to town. On the far end of my property, which is right at the edge of Hartwell Avenue, there's a drainage pipe
Yep.
that goes under the road. and basically during snow melt / heavy rain, it drains it. That's why that area floods and why it flows into the neighbour's yard.
Right.
But
But
the
that
town
drain
said it
was-
had nothing
that
to do.
drain- That drain was pre-existing to the development, so
Yeah.
Jimmy Clyde, we all went out there prior to, that drain's been there a long time.
Oh, I completely. I mean,
Yeah.
clearly it has. It's because it's under
But
the road.
I don't know whether you realize that was a ski area, ski tour
Oh, yeah,
across
absolutely.
the street, and that was a pond over there. That
The weird thing is that on our deed, it has drainage easement,
Mhm.
right? The water goes way outside that drainage easement.
Probably
And
flows
when-
more now.
So
More
when I brought
development.
that up, the town said it's got nothing to do with us. We don't have it. We don't. Well, so basically, the long and the short of it is, and the things you find out when you're a property owner, I figured out that it doesn't matter if it's on the map. There has to be a legal instrument, like a drainage instrument,
Mhm.
and no one can find it. No one will. No one will.
Well, all they have to do is put the output on town property.
Beg your pardon?
There's a 40-foot right-of-way for the road,
Okay. Yeah.
and they can just dump it once it's on their property, and where it goes is your problem. I have it at my place,
Mm-hmm.
and
Oh,
I'm
there's
just saying,
much-
it's just what it is. And it isn't always flowing, it does flow periodically.
You know, like twice a year, it kind of like
Yeah.
produces. I mean, we've had ducks.
Yeah.
On
Oh,
the-
yeah.
on-
Yeah, I've had ducks in
Well,
puddles in my backyard too.
You all set? Because we gotta get along.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
sure, absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll give that to you, so just keep in touch with Amy when the transition is gonna occur.
Sure. Okay.
I appreciate you coming in, thank you,
Thank you.
good luck.
51 Howell, CR restoration.
I just had that down there in case they were to come in. I went back out, I can't remember what it was after the rain. A lot more erosion cutting had occurred through the sand.
Really?
Yeah, so he was gonna put up much more erosion controls
Right.
across the whole thing.
Had he
And
already
he
put
was
some?
gonna
I
send
thought
me
he
a
was
picture
already
today,
gonna
but he
put
hasn't
more.
done it. Sorry.
Sure it wasn't enough.
Did he put more out since our meeting, or was it?
Could
you tell?
I was out there, now was it Wednesday
Okay.
evening? I went back over there, I think it was. And he said he was gonna do it Thursday or Friday.
Okay.
So, but then he's also gonna, he had it all in his back of his truck. He had it there. He was
Oh,
ready to
I
put them
see.
up.
Okay.
He had silt fence as well as wattles.
Did so is there like sand moving farther into the woods
I would
now?
imagine.
Yeah, so
He's
he
gotta
said he's
get
gonna
that
put some
under
wattles
control.
down below the little plume that's
Yeah.
heading out there.
Right.
He's gonna put some right at the lawn. I mean, the
Yeah,
stuff
slow
coming
it down.
around Jerry's shed and over there
Yeah.
it was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
There's a lot of water.
No, I get it.
Well, we've had a lot of water in the last,
We've had a lot of water.
We've
this
had-
fall.
Now we're breaking records?
It's the
50% more.
wettest that I can ever remember. I've never seen it this wet.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what they said in the news today, that we're in
Oh,
the wettest
You know, like
period
47
ever.
inches
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, it's
wettest
August.
fall. Okay.
All right, 628 Newtown Road Wetland Mitigation Report.
This is the driveway crossing, so they did the wetland mitigation monitoring report that they're supposed to be doing out there. Everything's fine. The beavers have flooded, of course, the wetland mitigation. So their question was like, what do you want us to do about it? I said, I'll ask you guys, as far as I'm concerned, the beaver's natural. If it's flooding the created wetland, well, I guess it's flooding the created wetland.
This is the island?
Yes. And
Beavers are
I've
going-
mentioned
beavers
to,
are wild.
What's that?
There's a lot of beavers out there.
yeah.
Oh, really?
And I'd mentioned to them, I'd mentioned to John Field, if you guys have any structural concerns about, there's like maybe 6-8 inches of freeboard under the bridge right now.
Yeah, I saw, it's very high.
It's really high.
That's it?
Oh.
It has not been getting higher,
Okay.
so,
It's been spreading though. So
yeah,
it's
if that
definitely
beaver
Yeah.
decides
spreading.
to go up at all, they got a problem.
Yeah, I mean, the septic system,
There's gotta be water in the basement. can't
Yeah, I was
imagine.
looking at it, I can't believe there's not, yeah.
Something.
But they like
Probably
it, the new
something.
owners like it, so.
Yeah.
They
like
seem
the
like,
location.
they seem like
Yeah.
very nice people, and
Yeah.
I'm really happy that they,
I'm just concerned when those,
Do you know them?
the trees that
no,
have
they're
been,
like the,
They were in here last week.
They're in here.
Oh.
the trees that the beavers have gone after, once those fall, that's going to hit the front of that bridge. And then you're gonna have another damming effect.
Mhm.
But those beavers have gone after at least 4 or 5 trees. And we've got some big diameter
Really?
trees, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they're,
Yeah.
like
So
on,
that's,
on the property or
oh yeah,
just?
right before the bridge.
They couldn't have asked for better tenants.
So we're gonna end up in it at some point.
Yeah, so I had.
It is natural.
When this
so-
first started this summer, I pointed out to Jim Clyde, that if you have any concerns about Newtown Road, otherwise it's beaver on private property, affecting private property, so.
Well, Jim Clyde approved it because he said it would have no impact.
And then left.
I remember that, I have that on record.
I should have told him on his way out.
Okay,
All right, broad dog.
dog brochure, what have you got, we gonna do about that?
Um,
Having dogs leashed?
Who is this? This is Mass Land Trust Coalition has done a nice little flyer of dogs in the parks, and we can even put our little regs in here. They have it all set up that way.
Oh,
So I was thinking of just kind of having that done and leaving it around places.
The only thing, if
Police
you look
law?
at the bottom of the regulations the town has, they say that you have, they don't really exactly say you gotta leash the dog, you gotta have the dog under
Under control.
control.
right.
Which no one does.
Yep.
Every time we go out, the
Define
dog
control.
comes running right up to you, runs for your dog, and we say, our dog's a little bit unpredictable. And by that point, they're already like 100 feet away. And we're just like, oh.
Yeah,
Picking the dog up by its collar.
but
Yeah,
that's
dogs
where
attack other
the
dogs that
liability
approached us,
is, you
so I just
know?
stopped taking her,
Yeah,
like,
that's-
they didn't, I just
But
didn't
if
take her
it
out
fits
anymore, 'cause I
into
didn't-
what the
when I
town
first moved
bylaw
here,
is,
and was
I
like,
wouldn't have
oh,
a problem
that's how it
with
is,
that.
okay,
Mhm.
I can't, I can't take her.
Future meeting dates, anybody
She'll
got
fight
any?
off.
So that should be sitting in front of you, and I have a vacation, so I'm gonna miss the September 9th meeting. And we can probably talk about this in June. If we move things around a little bit, I'll still miss that meeting, but I might not miss the filing date. And I won't start to be here on a filing deadline date
Mhm.
and at a meeting, so I can make sure things come
So-
in and,
Is this correct that we're going January 28th to then February 1?
Oh, yeah.
maybe not.
That's
Because
weird.
January 28th,
Oh, I think-
I can't make that, but then I don't think that's right with the
That,
calendar.
yeah, that can't make sense.
Well, there's January 7th, then the 21st is a holiday.
Right.
Yeah, it should be February 11th and 25th. February 11th, the one got missed off of there.
Okay.
The filing deadline's still right.
Okay.
Now, sorry, back to this poop thing.
Yeah,
Are you able to change anything else besides this part? Can
I
you
don't
change-
know.
Because it says, keep your dog on leash, designated leash area. We don't have any designated leash areas, do we?
Yeah, some towns do, but
We don't.
we don't, no.
So we need to like modify this to be appropriate for our law, our regs.
Yeah, although, I'm not sure if it's, maybe, it might be fixed, changeable.
And also it says if your dog is off leash, ensure that he stays on the trail. It doesn't say anything about
And under
in
voice
control.
control.
It should be under voice
There was
control or
some-
whatever.
I think there was some-
But that's, our regs would be up on the front piece of it.
I wouldn't want someone to challenge
yeah.
us to say, well,
They should have,
the paper doesn't say it.
oh, okay, how can you help? How can you help? So I guess
Yeah, it's a little
it's this repetitive,
conflicting,
conflicting, and, yeah.
redundant.
Oh, sorry.
So I think it needs a little bit more work. Let's see what we're doing.
Other updates, and I got a list of them here.
We can push those to the end? 'Cause I,
Yeah,
oh, wait,
we're
no,
gonna have
actually,
to.
yeah.
Okay. Request for certificate of compliance for Turkey Farm. Let's see, we got quite a list of them here, how we decided they wanted to.
Is that what
Yeah.
you say is continued? This
Yeah,
is-
so nobody could make it tonight, but I did say I'd run through these, so you have at least some idea. I think there's only one that I think is, I don't think anybody would disagree that it's not ready to go. I think it's got to have this much buffer zone on the property. So with the other ones,
Friday got snowed out.
Right.
Friday, guess what, yeah, so
I
I
haven't
went
seen
out
any,
the
'cause,
Wednesday before, because if you're, might not be able to see this again.
Yeah.
I didn't print out the new one. So, yeah, Lot 2, which is 9 Balsam, I think is ready to go.
So you had said you went out, so.
Yeah, I've seen,
So you saw 9 Balsam?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, Lot 2 is, it's kind of catty corner from Basin 3.
Oh, yeah.
And there's just this little piece of buffer zone. And it never even had erosion controls on it.
But it doesn't have any drainage that crosses under that goes into,
It does not.
okay.
They had some drainage goes that way. So this one, and there were some changes back here, but it's way outside the buffer zone. So lot 2, I think, if you agree, is the easy one.
Okay.
So both of you have been out, so, okay.
And then lot 8, which is the one where they want to put in the patio.
Oh, and a
um,
fence too, right?
And a fence, right, yeah.
Yeah, no.
The hay bales are totally overgrown. I wouldn't even recommend that they be moved because it's gonna be a nightmare getting them out of there. But the silt fence is still there, so I don't know if you want to approve a certificate of compliance with a silt fence in, or if you want to wait until it's all ripped out.
I would think it would be-
Who's
have to be
responsible?
ripped
The
out.
contractor responsible for taking that out?
Yes, this is all dirt.
I
So
think
they
probably,
should
the
do
way
it.
they seem to get things done around there, I think you better wait. in
Okay,
my
which is
mind.
gonna be the case for a bunch of these.
Yeah.
Wait, and then the twine has to come out on those bales?
Yeah, that, and then 9 is pretty close, there's just some stakes left. They took out the hay bales and everything, but there's a couple of stakes in this. But they want to just
9 next
wait.
to the,
Yes, next to the basin.
and it contributes into the basin.
Maybe.
That basin hasn't been written off yet,
No, it hasn't.
so I would hold on 9.
Okay. 10, I had an issue with where the lawn was.
Okay.
11, I had some issues. 12,
Okay, so
I
it
was
sounds like the one that
confused.
we're gonna do is lot 2.
Yeah, 14 is similar to lot 2, but this is the one where the owners haven't come in yet.
Right,
So I don't know if you want to make the
Yeah.
owners come in,
I think no.
okay?
Yeah, they need to come in.
And then all the rest of these, I had an issue with 15 and 22 anyway. And then I don't know if you got, Rachel, behind some of these other lots back here, there's
In,
different stuff going
Yeah.
on.
Okay.
well, I went when going up to like the K properties and stuff.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And oddly, some of the wattles for the K property have totally disintegrated. I don't know what got into them.
Huh.
But, you know, the silt fence is all still nice and tight, nothing's happening, but the wattles are all just blown open.
Someone stole it for a nest.
So would you like to sign off on lot 2 or not even bother?
Well, if you can get rid of one, why not?
Yeah, if it's,
Take
if
care
it's
of
fine,
one.
we don't need to
Well,
hold it up, but
yes, because you've been out, do you wanna make the motion?
you guys.
Sure. Make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for Lot 2, Turkey Farm, 204-797.
Do we hear a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Here you go. Yes, all of a sudden I realized I had 12 certificate of compliances I need to fill out. Thank you very much.
I guess we've got a couple of 7 or 8 minutes. You got something else, Cloverdale, that you wanted to talk about?
Yes, just let you know, the parking lot, they've done the survey, I haven't seen the plan yet, so they're moving ahead. They picked up as much as they can of lot, I can't remember what was next to this, O'Neill's lot 6 or wherever that was. They picked up what they could, but they didn't get a lot of great information, but they went out there. So they're gonna submit the plans, the existing conditions, and then probably come in and sit down and talk about what we want for a parking lot.
So we're kind of, on that, we're still, be like Harvard Road, we're limited to 7 parking spaces or something?
Yes, yeah, because then you don't need planning board.
It's more, I think it's probably more the elevation going in and out of there.
That's the only issue is because it's kind of similar to getting in and out of the Yap property, but it's a road is a lot different that you're trying to get out onto.
Yeah.
So if someone loses a little bit of wheel grip or something, that needs
Can
to
we
fix that.
outline what the other discussions are and go on record with what the other discussions are?
An update on 6 Cottage Way, the master plan implementation committee review, a forest cutting plan, Andrew's Garden, and the webpage. And your brochure, did I say that? Matt's
Okay,
brochure.
what about the forest? Yeah.
The forest cutting plan?
Yeah,
That's actually mostly in Boxborough. It's on the south side of Route 2. I don't know if anybody ever really wants to see these. The only
I'll see it.
input you really have is if the wetlands are wrong, and they appeared, I didn't go out on the site.
Who's doing it?
That's what I was gonna say.
John Robbins is the forester.
He's good.
Does he doesn't clear cut, he does,
He does
Sure.
he does the plan. He doesn't do the actual physical harvesting, but he does
Yeah.
the plan.
What is the MPIC review?
That is, the Master Plan Implementation Committee is requesting that you review the attached Littleton Common Revitalization Roadmap draft.
oh, cool.
So if anybody wants to take a look at it, I print out, and she said, you just focus on section 6. And one of my thoughts was that, I don't know, urban trees is not mentioned in here at all. And you always have that push, it's like you start putting in sidewalks and bike lanes, it's the trees that are losing.
Right, absolutely.
So I don't know if there was something worth considering in that piece of it.
Do you know why the trees are on the common?
No?
It
I assume
seemed-
you do.
Yes, I do. It seemed though a group of kids my age used to like to play football there. And use it as a hangout. So they figured if they put the trees there,
Get rid of the riffraff.
yes.
Didn't work.
I don't know, but there's plenty of parking there for the sub shop. You see that all lined up on a Thursday night or a,
Yeah, yeah.
but that's why that's why they put the trees. Plus, they also down towards the point of it, they have the Veterans Memorial.
Right. Yeah.
Amy, that forest cutting plan was good. I looked at that.
And the only other thing I saw in this Commons thing is that they say for wetlands regulations, permit the use of innovative green infrastructure, stormwater facilities, blah, blah. Provide location of these structures is not in conflict with any other setback. So I think actually in part of the reg review that we're doing, we're saying that a public interest does include managing stormwater.
Okay.
So that I can just respond to saying, you're kind of headed that way anyway, or at least considering it.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
but does anybody want to see this?
Yeah, you do.
There's
Okay,
a
do you
lot
want-
of,
Why don't I email, did you want to take a look at it too, maybe? Okay.
there's a lot of
Awesome.
drainage stuff that comes off of Adams Street, crosses through there.
If you
And
can email it to me too.
And, Goldsmith Street goes down, it's all going downhill through the mill.
All right.
Okay,
And then 6 Cottage Way, there was a November 7th hearing. We shouldn't discuss this because we're not going to go into executive session because I didn't get this until today. But basically, it's moving along. The wetlands did get changed a little bit down by the lake. There's like a little finger that sticks up. So Kristen has revised her plans in response to that. So, and this is all kosher, we can go over it with the attorney later. She will need to come back to you guys for approval. So at some point, there's all these approvals.
is that gonna, pending on the
It's all
outcome?
pending everything, so once DEP finally, approves the revised plan, then I'll just work with town council and figure out the best way of,
Okay.
the correct way of moving ahead with that piece of it.
Sweet pine.
Any update on the other Fort Farms?
No, 73 Hartwell has been reflagged, and DEP needs to do a second site walk out there, and the 10 Fort Pond vernal pool site walk has not been scheduled.
I have a quick update on that.
We can do that later. Unless you want to hear it now, actually.
Can you ask if
It's
that's
almost
gonna
a-
get done before it freezes?
When I talked to him when we were out there at 73 Hartwell, I had the impression that he was going to try to set up in the next week or two, and it just hasn't happened.
Right, is there a way to put just a little encouragement from the commission?
But as long as we have snow, the snow is making it, being an insulator, the stuff is not gonna freeze
But
under.
he can see the, I know, but he can see the
And he-
volume of the water.
And he can look at the
that is
outlet if he
out
wants to
there,
look
so-
at the outlet.
Right.
So any update on the pavilion?
That's on tonight,
That's
that's
on-
later.
That's on later.
It is?
It is.
Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Okay, let's, I guess it's time to do 67 Mill Road, U 3828, Mass DEP 2048, something, demolition of an uninhabited house habitable house and construction of a new home and septic system.
We intend to set with the applicant, Jim McLaughlin, and Jane Simmons, the owner. We did get a file number, right?
Yes,
Yes. And I have one more green card
thank
for
you.
you. And we did revise the plan. Some of the issues, or some of the thoughts that the commission had last time. We have a specific planting plan, which includes 30 plants that were selected for the location being a dry soil that drains and being a full sun location. And I think they'll be planted randomly, but I did put down some symbols down there. They're in red along the edge of the brook in the 6-foot no mow area, or the edge of the bank, just to give an idea of what 30 plants would look like in that area. We also had, we found another tree that needs to be taken down once we staked it out for the septic system. So there's one more tree that is right here that's going to need to be removed.
So what was your number of trees? So originally in the backup notes, I saw there were 7, I counted 9. Where are you
There
at?
should be 8 that were flagged.
Okay, there
So
were
8.
9 that were flagged the other day, and then 2, I'm not sure where the property line is, there's the 2 very dead trees right to the right. Are they coming out, is that your property?
I believe they are on the property. Was just gonna ask if the tree guy comes in, you know, what do we need to do with these? I mean, they're not in the way of anything, and I think they're surrounded by trees that would support them, but I could definitely take them out if,
I was thinking, anything that's dead ought to come out before it falls.
Which end is that?
As your,
Right on the pond, or?
yeah.
Okay.
yeah, I did see those, and, you know,
And that's why I questioned if they were on your property
they
or
weren't
not.
flagged, and I believe they are on the property.
Right.
But those can come
They
out.
really should come out. They're
Or at
too
least
much-
leave them as a snag or something up,
Yeah.
you know, something, but they're hazard.
Yeah, I mean, you hear about stuff coming down on people.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, those can be flagged, absolutely. We
I
were
may
just
have-
looking
I may have
at the
miscounted, but I
closest.
thought we were at 9 plus the 2 dead ones. So,
So that's 11.
but maybe you're saying
Or
there's
12.
8, okay.
Well, I had my count was 8. I don't know. I mean,
Okay.
I was pretty careful. It seems like such a simple
Okay.
thing but you can easily mix it up.
Wait, so it's 8 plus 2 dead plus an extra one?
No, it
No, I
was
think you
7.
Oh, okay.
7 plus 1 extra plus the 2 dead. So the additional tree, I know there was we discussed about the existing septic system, the existing cesspool to be completely removed. There's now notes on this plan that require that, and on the septic plan that require it to be completely removed, the pit. Planting plan, and the driveway was previously, we had it at 8 feet, but once Jim went out there and tried to drive it with a truck, it was kind of narrow to get up into the driveway, so we've increased that to 12 feet on the approach coming off the street, so this is now 12 feet.
So
What
the
was
flat,
8?
the stakes that we saw,
Were 8,
so you've changed that?
yeah,
Okay.
because it was a couple days after I staked him, he went out and drove it, and then I put it on the plans.
Okay, so can you draw which way that went
Yes.
in terms of,
So, 8 was here, and we went 4 more this way.
Was
To
it
go,
2 and 2 or 4?
no, it's 4,
Okay.
to go this way, because if we go this way, it would limit, it would shorten this up. This distance right here is 16, and that's just about enough to park a car. So if we took, 4 more feet out of that.
so as
it
you
would
were looking at the approach, you went further to the right, down closer to the wetlands?
Correct. Toward the, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Towards the wetland?
Toward the,
No,
toward the.
down here
toward
in
the-
that flat?
toward the right.
Yeah, it's pretty narrow.
That's our proposed, yeah.
Is there a way to go to the left?
You
On
can.
the approach? It would require a cut, but I feel as though this is gonna be an area anyways because of the road wash and that coming down untreated.
Mhm.
I would propose to move it the opposite direction, and that was actually part of my notes to talk about that driveway tonight.
Yeah, so it makes it more difficult to swing in and get into here,
Okay.
because this is 16 feet, and cars are between 14 and 16. So it would make it doesn't really help with the movement of getting in and out.
In other words, they're gonna be backing on the lawn anyway.
You're right, right.
Yeah, I'd rather not, you know.
Yeah, and just, that's realistically
Yeah.
making it muddy.
Or you just split the distance like was mentioned earlier, 2 on one side, 2 on the other.
That's it.
Well, I mean, the other thought too with the gravel, if it's, I mean, it's already close to the resource area, I would almost opt for like the impervious.
This is gonna be blacked off for
Pavement.
gravel.
It
No
says
blacktop
gravel.
Huh?
Right now, it's
No
proposed
blacktop.
gravel. I did
Right.
update the
No, I
narrative
know,
to
it
say
is.
that it could, they may, with your permission or coming through for your approval, at some point, whether during construction or later, they may go for a pervious pavement or a paver
Yeah,
surface.
pervious, sorry, I didn't mean
Yeah.
impervious.
Yeah, pavers would
But I'm
be good.
concerned about the gravel, I mean, you need to plow the snow and the gravel's just gonna, I don't know how you
Yeah.
keep it there.
It's hard to get good
Even,
packing
even Crusher,
gravel
even
now.
Crusher Run,
Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna,
So the challenge is
It's gonna
over
go.
here,
That's my
so as we
concern.
talk about snow storage and snow plowing, it's
Yeah.
gonna have to go out,
Where
plowing
you gonna
out.
put it?
I'm just saying, Jim, you can't put it in the wetlands, and they've already, the driveway is right off the wetlands. So that's, the onus is on them to figure it out, not us.
So I thought I'd have a snow blower there and throw it all towards the front of the house,
Mhm.
nothing towards the water.
Right.
So you're not gonna
but-
plow, you don't need to
No.
plow, yeah.
Right, but the next owner may want to, so we have to protect this area
yeah.
here. So you're gonna have to put like either rocks or something, because you're so close. You're 10 feet to the
Boundary.
wetlands here?
Yes.
Right.
Or
So you're
a low, like a
here, and
guardrail?
they just went closer.
Could it be a guardrail or something?
But the reality of it all is, if you don't have enough room, people are just gonna back on the lawn, so you might as well shore
The
it
lawn
up.
is opposite the wetlands, so the lawn is better than pushing into the
Yeah.
wetlands. Because you're gonna have more coming, you're gonna have more de-icer and everything coming off the road
Yeah.
here. I disagree,
De-icer being
from the main road.
From
yeah, from the
the,
town.
from the town.
Well, they're allowed to de-ice right along the pond there?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Right, that
So
we think it'd be a no
What's that?
salt area, just
Maybe it'll
sand.
kill some of the scum that's on the pond.
I like the way it thinks,
Evidently it doesn't.
Didn't this summer. Yeah, that was green for a long time.
Yep. Do you wanna look at that? Paul? Can you refresh our memory of what the square footage is for existing versus proposed? And I know we're going up a story.
So total impervious is 876, and the proposed total impervious is 1,300. Now, the impervious within the 50-foot existing is 830, and the proposed impervious within the 50-foot is 766. Impervious area infiltrated now is 0, and obviously it's going to be 1,300.
Is that inside the foundation?
That's the roof,
Oh,
assuming 1 foot eve, all around.
right.
So my question is, it does. And
It-
so
what?
it requires a waiver,
Right.
Yep.
Yeah,
which you're working on.
we submitted a waiver
Submitted.
request previously,
Okay.
yeah. Depending on what happens tonight, it may need to be adjusted to change some of the numbers. But,
And the premise of the waiver is that they're cesspool and upgrading it now for quality.
This gonna have town water,
yes.
It's on well now,
but the
We're
town
gonna go
water
to town.
goes down the road.
it's on the other side of the street, so we'll have to come across and
So is the well
Has that been repaid, so they get some moratorium on it, so you can
No.
get?
no.
Oh, no, that road's
No.
definitely not gonna be recently.
Well,
I was gonna say it like that, but yeah. I would, there's a well there? Are you
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a well there now.
All right,
The well on the plan?
no.
dug well or an artesian?
It would have to be dug, I'm sure, by then. I'm sure it'd be dug.
Yeah, you wouldn't have
So-
enough formation pressure to make a
Yeah,
cohesion
fully.
there.
Yeah. So we'll have to make sure that's decommissioned.
So one of the other questions I had was the safety strip is only 6 feet from the toe slope from the wetlands in terms of the no mow area.
Mhm.
So what are you proposing to do from the rest of the section? So from 6 feet, say, to the foundation? What's going on?
What would you suggest? I mean, I'm just gonna leave it the way it is. It's kind of green, it's not particularly blade
It's like
grass.
Yeah.
Moss, just.
Right, but you're going through a
Violets.
construction period, so some of that is obviously going to need to be revegetated,
Yeah, what-
because you're
should I
tearing it all
plant
up.
grass?
Yeah.
Should I, what should I do?
6 feet buffer, I think, is
Small.
low.
We were saying at
Concerned
least
that
10.
people are gonna mow right down to the,
Yeah.
To the water?
to the 6, yeah.
Absolutely not.
Right, but
Well,
we
it's you and
already-
you, we got the next owner.
person.
Yeah.
Oh,
So when you really retire. But, because then we think of, the grass clippings and where do those end up, and
Yeah, yeah.
that's all,
Oh, yeah.
because all of that is in the buffer zone.
Mm.
So, my suggestion would be to increase that, a little bit more based on what the commission feels comfortable with, and that'll just give you a little bit more of a buffer. Um,
A mow zone, no mow
No
zone.
mow zone,
Yeah.
yeah. But they can still, if invasives come in, you can certainly work to eradicate them as well.
So
And is
a
there
no-mow
any-
planting zone.
Right.
Yeah.
And are trees included in that no-mow zone, the plantings? Or was it only?
I have-
shrubs?
There's only one big tree, oh.
I put it mostly shrubs. I think the tallest one was 4 feet, and then everything else was smaller.
Is it for visibility so you can see the pond?
No, it was mainly, I selected them based on the soil, full sun, and trying to select a group of pollinators that would be, that come to it. But I don't know, I guess I did try to keep it lower. I don't think I did it specifically for that. I just think,
You have
I was
a
just thinking of
maintenance program in there, keeping the shrubs in. But I was just thinking that you don't want them
Now
going
there's a
wild,
button bush.
where you can't see if you're trying to see the pond and what have you. You want something that's, you
That's
could
what-
maintain
Well, you
periodically.
might be able to focus trees and shrubs away from the front of the house and just do in front of the house,
Right.
the real smaller.
Smaller.
It doesn't have to be just
Be-
smaller.
Remember, all these trees are coming out.
yeah, I'm sure.
There
Service
should be
berry is
something
also,
to put back in.
both,
Yeah.
That's
service
like an
berry
actual
is
tree.
both
Mhm.
a pollinator and a tree,
These are
a
all-
native tree, so.
White pine,
Proposed pine,
Service berry?
or ones that are coming out?
the ones
These
that are coming out are
right,
all
these are
all
coming out, yeah.
white
That's fine, I
pine, so I'm-
did what I could. There was
Soil
no
making.
direction given last time. Last time I was told to come in and propose something,
Yep.
with no direction, so.
Oh, I thought usually you give a list of
You've been some direction.
possibilities.
Well, not of what type of trees, a number of trees.
No, fair enough.
but,
So I think when we're looking
Well, we
at,
talked about 3 foot on center, so that's,
That was
a joke?
a joke. 3 foot on center, that's how much you.
You're planting violets?
That's
and
how-
you think 3 foot on center is a joke?
so I think when we're talking about now that the commission has gone out to look at the trees that are coming down, so we're losing quite a bit of canopy up top that I would
Shading.
propose to put in some shade trees
Mhm.
that are not part of your, that kind of safety zone, that you would just put them in, even in the area where that cesspool is, or where some of those trees are that you're taking down. And those would be,
Pretty thick in there. Is there
well, you're
something
taking
we
all
can
those
put in?
down, though.
Yeah.
So
You can
for
open
all
it
the,
up.
you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, just in an area that
Yeah.
are coming
That's
out. So
Yeah.
for the 4 that are coming out, try and put something in
And
there.
they're up closer to the house, and I think, is there quite a few next to the water?
To the water, and you've
Yeah,
got the
down
dead,
close
where
to
those
the-
dead ones are,
Yeah.
which is not in your septic system.
You could put some understory trees in the strip, I would think.
Yeah.
Go to the water department, they give them
Dogwood.
away.
Yeah, they are
Mhm.
2 shade
Right.
trees per property,
Oh,
They're
water department.
super healthy, too.
Okay.
Yeah, they're nice. I have a
Yeah.
bunch of neighbors who have gotten some,
Yeah.
like maples.
So those would do well over there.
Okay.
So, all right, they're still gonna have canopy over those with the pines that are remaining.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd have to look for like a partial shade.
Get a lot of pines coming out, though.
Yeah.
And I think that that's going to be an infield decision, once you see what's remaining from those trees, and to be able to look at what's gonna work well in there for those.
As far as number and location?
Mhm. I think you could say not more than 3.
Okay.
And the, Amy, what's the specs on what year and diameter? I forget how big those trees are.
No, most of it, at least the town stuff is about that size.
The
Yeah.
town's 5-gallon containers.
But they
Okay.
supposedly grow relatively quickly from what
Red maples, yeah.
what I've been told.
What kind of maples are they?
The red maples from the
Yeah.
town.
Those,
So red maples are more like the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So not more than 3 red maples.
or approved equal.
Or, yeah, or similar.
So I still would like to discuss the driveway.
Sure.
The location, even looking at the stakes, I had concerns, and now that we've moved it further,
Mhm.
I think we'd have to look at that. And to come up with how you're going to denote that area, so that on its approach, where it slopes down off the pavement, that's not gonna actually turn into more of a driveway as well and impede the wetlands going down to the shore, so that it's not a parking area. And what we've done with almost all of the people that have come in for short driveways is had them note with boulders or something that is not gonna be moved by a snowplow.
Yeah.
That would be okay, boulders? on
Yeah, absolutely.
wherever we-
Yeah, absolutely.
Wherever you let us put them?
And we have a previous boulder planting plan on another site that I'll.
Right.
Do you figure you're gonna get into that when you excavate? Or is it all sands and gravel?
I don't think I'll find anything bigger than,
Yeah.
I don't know, bigger than a grape in there.
Everybody's got rocks.
So how big should they be? As big as the bottom of this chair?
I got it on there. I think we did 6 foot on, 6 foot, and they were 10 foot on center or something like that.
2 to 3
No,
feet.
yeah, they're not gonna be not 10 feet, because you get a car
Yeah.
in
yeah.
between, so they're closer. So you're
Six-
almost trying to make, like,
5 feet apart, 6 feet, the smaller cars that go through.
yeah, so it's basically to enable a car not to go through.
Yeah, okay,
So I'd be closer to like 4 feet.
between.
But you won't allow them.
So,
So how far down should they go? Just to the end of the house, say?
no, not even that
Look at
far,
it.
where your parking lot is. They just need to be where your proposed parking is.
Which
So
is
is
more or
it down the
less-
side and
You
across?
put it down on the right and then end in the back.
Oh, that there, okay.
Exactly.
All right.
Yep.
Okay. So down and
Put 'em
across.
2 sides.
So it would
Yeah.
basically be like an upside down L.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm start looking for the rocks.
I'm sure people
They're-
will just
they're
drop them
around.
off for you.
They're around.
So those were just my concerns with the dead trees and then the driveway,
Okay.
to come out into that bank a little bit more.
Weren't you also suggesting an increase in the width of the planting bed?
Definitely,
least-
to like at least
At
10
least
feet.
10?
It's at
Yeah.
6 now. I think 6 is nominal, especially during flood years, and
Yeah.
All right, so increase that to 10. Did you have specific trees that you thought would go into that no-mow zone?
I just thought,
Because
since you're removing so many, that you could sprinkle trees throughout,
so,
especially ones that tend to drape over the water and shade it. Like,
you
so what I have right now is I have a shrub that goes to
with
3
the
to 4
fish,
feet.
because we've taken out so many of the trees, the canopy, you're changing the temperature of the water, so you wanna try and have something that's going to offer some
Change
shade
the temperature.
But-
for fish beds and things
So
like
the
that.
maple
Sun reduction.
Julie brought that up last
Help it
time,
a
and when I
little.
went out there and looked at the trees, we're
Very
pretty
low.
much south-facing at that point. So I don't know,
495.
I'm not saying we don't do it, but I don't know how much shade we're really actually going to remove.
That's a good point.
Because of the angle,
The sun's
yeah.
on the other
Yeah.
side of the lake,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's hitting the back of the house
But-
this way.
It will also help to keep the geese off your lawn.
That's true.
But
if
And
there
so
are
will the
trees-
strip, of,
So she mentioned a service berry, and it's amaranth here, but you can get that in single and multi-stem. So as you were saying, you can kind of phase it in if you have a a lower area by the house. If you're kind of a gradation of larger, look for, it's got a bunch of different names. It's,
Maybe dogwood too?
Yeah, but I like to
Service
start
berry.
with the service berry because
Yeah, I
that
like
has
service berry.
flowers.
Dogwoods are.
Service
Yeah, it
berry.
does.
And you can get some multi-stem so that it's coming out with.
Yeah.
Those
How
go,
big do they get?
those go 6 to 25.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
And they attract bees, and they're sun to part shade.
Yeah, they're very
Yeah.
And
nice.
if
So what do you
there's
think,
shrubs
Pat?
that make sense, they don't have to all be pollinators.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, that does actually
You
fall
get it.
under the pollinator too.
But-
yeah,
but- but
yeah.
if there's
Added
other-
bonus.
What's that?
evergreen or,
It's an added bonus.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so if
so
there's something like mountain laurel or rhododendron, you
Yeah.
know, something that's a different kind of habitat.
half a
value.
dozen, or you think?
It's a long, how long is the stretch?
It's a long
Yeah, it's
stretch.
Yeah, it's a long-
It's a good
yeah.
stretch.
It's a long stretch.
And then you
Red
have,
maples they giving away would work too.
Some more maples?
The red maples work.
Yeah.
Those will be
Yeah, you
good.
could do
And
some
river
red
birch would
maples,
probably do
some-
very well
Down
there.
there.
Oh, yeah,
river
river
birch.
birch, yeah.
Into the tree
I get
field.
an opinion though about
behind the
all
house.
those white pines will
Yeah,
make the
the-
soil
the buffer
acidic,
and everything.
and so
Yeah.
you don't wanna plant all this stuff and have it all die
Yeah.
because the soil's acidic from the white pine, so I don't know if you, like, there's someone who can provide input on
test the
that.
soil.
Yeah, I'm not,
Hmm.
I really don't know the approach, it's not my
Could you, would you like
wheelhouse.
to
No,
I
but
am
you're
aware,
giving the
I am
you're aware
aware
of
of
the
the
problem, yeah.
issue, and,
Um,
you know, it'd just be too bad to waste.
Would it be too late to
money.
test the soil
Yeah.
for the acidity for them for plantings?
Well, it
It'd be
would be
pretty easy.
It's pine.
Yeah, but
You're
you,
not gonna
they
get.
use
think it's
now
acidic in
some
general.
sort of a
Yeah.
The rain
nutrient
is
package.
I don't know what
pH
service
5.
berry needs though, in terms of soil type.
Almost all of them are in.
So it's going to be
6
acidic,
range.
but I'm just aware of under a
Neutral.
white pine, it will be more
Yeah.
so.
It's good.
Needs maybe a big enough hole to bring some good stuff in to
Well, you
plant
wanna make
it.
sure it's gonna live long term now.
Right.
So they would be able to look at the genetics of them to see if they'd be resistant to acid.
Ooh, on
Right,
this-
some-
this
Yeah,
is
but it's just a
they're looking
nutrient
to-
packet you can use.
There are
Right.
definitely people who know this type of
Yeah.
thing.
So, how many are we on?
Just
Whatever,
propose
whatever is
some, like,
needed
a
to do the
sprinkle of
job.
them.
Well,
And that won't block their view to the pond, or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that is one of the advantages of having the lots. You don't wanna be putting 4 trees right in front of you. You can understand how they may, you know,
Yeah.
if they're putting 8, they might be.
Right.
right, how many linear feet is that? Is it like 300 linear, something like that?
Well, the front lot line is 165, so it's pushing 200 probably, if you wanna talk from lot line to lot line. 'Cause you do have a little bit of arc here, so this is 165, so from here to here, it's probably not more than 200.
I guess it depends.
So that's about 2,000 square feet. And if you do shrubs at 6 foot on center and the smaller ones at 3 foot on center, you have to figure out, you gotta do the math.
Just sprinkle them in there.
Sprinkle.
Well, it's more than, well, do you want more than a sprinkle?
It's more than a sprinkle.
Yeah, it's
Well,
more than a
just,
sprinkle.
just naturalize
But
it,
we're
you
gonna
know?
lose
Make
30%
it-
the first year.
Make it look natural.
But it depends
Do you want
on
a
how,
3-year
what they
monitoring
are, and how
plan?
much they
3-year
spread
plan,
out too.
Definitely. Yeah, 3-year plan, because just the way that we lose
Yeah.
things, so.
Yep.
So basically, it just means that every year you do a survey to see if something has lived or not, and you really wanna look for 3 years.
Mhm.
Sad, but some will not live.
Okay, so where are we with this now?
10 foot wide, sprinkle some trees in there, check for acidic soil. We've got some trees, 3 trees to replace the pines that are coming down,
Add some stones.
and add
Finished.
stones along the driveway.
Mhm. Which you need to put on the plan.
Yeah,
Yep.
And the driveway itself, you're looking at pavers or turf stone too, I would suggest.
Right now, it's
Turf
single
stone.
gravel.
right now,
Gravel,
Well,
but in
not
that
yeah.
order-
gravel,
order of
not just
conditions, you
gravel,
could
but
say
packed, kind of like
either
crusher
or.
run type of
Crusher run.
stuff.
Yeah.
Because
That'll
turf
let the
stone
water
will,
through,
will
but-
keep has larger holes, if you keep
Like,
gravel in
Spread
the
all over the
concrete,
place.
sort of
like
control
gravel.
it
That's
more.
what you're, that's what you're
The
thinking about
maintenance
using
issue.
immediately,
Don't we want to
right?
have
I've
on
had
the
it
plan
for
that it would be
20
either
years
or, so
in
they
my-
don't have to come
Correct.
back?
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be
How do
gravel,
you-
because
Yeah.
gravel just
Do you
goes
have-
negative.
It's just gonna go everywhere.
Right.
Do you have a
So
different
I would
definition
wanna
of
seal it somehow.
pervious? Because you
Yeah,
go to some
like a s-
conservation commissions, they
not
say
like a stone
pavers aren't
dust.
pervious, they have to be like
Yeah.
the turf stone with
Something
the,
that
A turf
packs.
stone.
something like
Correct.
that.
I mean, that would be better, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Having turf stone than having pavers, but pavers are still pervious.
And pervious bituminous? Have you seen that?
Yes, I've seen
Have
that.
you seen it, or
Yep,
you have,
it's at Walden Pond.
you have thoughts on it?
I support it.
Okay.
Even though it
Is
might
that
get,
close to
it
it?
might
You gotta
get
know what you're getting
clogged, at least we'd get at least a couple really good years out of the perviousness of it,
Yeah.
so.
I'll think
I'd
of the
support
Walden
it.
Pond, because the problem with those is nobody ever maintains them. That's the issue.
Right,
That's
that's
the
And
problem.
our concern.
So I'm
And then
I'm
you-
wondering,
And then you go to the next owner, who's gonna rip them out, probably.
Well, but they last for a long time.
which ones, the stones?
No, the pervious pavement, because it allows the water to go through, you don't get the frost heaving
Oh, right.
and everything that you usually get with other.
Mm-hmm. But if you don't maintain it, it's
Yeah.
basically impervious.
Yeah,
I
right,
saw
you
someone
have to
put it-
clean 'em.
You
yeah.
have to clean them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just
gotta be
sweep them off
vacuum.
all the time?
Well, there's
gotta be
companies out there
vacuum
that
trucks.
vacuum.
Yeah,
Maintenance.
Vacuum 'em.
Yeah.
Maintenance.
It was easy to come up.
Because you get like your fines,
It's definitely
your
maintenance.
fines.
Yeah, so the turf stone might
will
be,
clog
So
it
I
up.
won't be cutting the grass, but I'll be vacuuming the grass.
You might be vacuuming.
and you can't do it with your shop vac. Well, maybe you
It's a lot
can.
of
Your
work.
rake.
Yeah.
It's gonna make plowing.
So you're gonna,
That's-
do you wanna approve this subject too, or do you wanna
I
let
think
it?
you have to have the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because
so-
it's also gonna be a different way of installing the driveway, right? Depending I on want, how I'd like much to of have a that as a foundation or. condition to say gravel or pervious pavers, so they can price everything out and figure what they wanna do.
When we say gravel though, I don't want just loose gravel, it's gonna be kind of with the crusher run over.
Yeah.
Kind of packed.
Yeah.
It-
Right,
it's
that's
not
fine.
something I can pick up a handful of stone.
I mean, there are those eco stones too, where they have the hole in the middle of
Yeah.
them and they,
Is that what, the same thing?
Is that turf stone, same
I don't
thing?
know,
Kind of like this
they're
big
blocks,
a hole?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
need to
yeah, they're
get
blocks like
samples.
this,
They fit on, they all fit together.
yeah,
Yeah.
Those work really well.
really well. We've had a driveway
always
like that
clean up
for
my
20
garage.
years.
What's that?
We've had a driveway like that for
Yeah,
20
those
years.
work, those really work well, and then, I don't think they're super expensive.
They're not.
No, it's setting
Okay,
them.
so are we on to continue this so that,
I had one more question.
oh, sorry.
Your stormwater trench system, is that capturing 100% of the roof
Yes. Yes.
in, 10-year, 25-year?
Well, the volume of itself captures 1.3 inches.
Okay.
And then it's just beautiful sand out there. I can get a better number for you. I thought I had HydroCAD. I don't have it on my computer now, so, but I mean, I'm not worried about it, but if you want some numbers so that,
Yep.
you want a number to see what storm it handles?
Yeah, I think we do, because
And
it's so
where is
close
that?
to the pond.
Right here.
Yeah, so
Okay,
it's
so
some
it's on the
trenches
opposite
and
side,
then,
okay.
yeah.
Did you look into the depth of what the DEP?
And it is
Manual
super
had in
sandy
it?
out there. I did
No,
see
because
some,
I'm only
like,
2 feet
sandy
above
loam.
groundwater right now, and I was trying to prove that it doesn't, the depth doesn't matter as long as I can handle a particular Yeah. storm. In my- So do you want to see all? Yeah, I get, it's fine. I just get, it's like a 2-node calculation. It's, you know.
Yeah, I just, the
Are you
runoff is
thinking
the
they might make
concern.
it bigger?
Runoff off the
You
roof,
think they might make it bigger?
I don't know. I don't know what data.
so
Yeah.
is,
So
would
once you
that
see
be,
that data, you may just have to
is
make it a
that a
little
good
bit
thing
bigger.
to
Yeah.
have
Yeah, I mean, we
runoff,
just-
clean
let's
runoff
just have
from
the
the roof
conversation,
down
so
to the
we're-
pond?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we move along?
Yeah.
So
So-
should we do a
Okay,
drain
so
system?
we have to make motion to extend it to
You're supposed to give
December
it some
3rd.
treatment when it comes off the
When?
roof.
December
It's all
3rd.
let it run through a
Okay.
grassy area,
Yeah.
just so it
Alrighty,
doesn't drain.
thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
Directly into the
Yeah,
lawn.
you don't
So
want
have
that.
it go off the lawn,
Yeah.
more or
that-
less.
Right, that the lawn would treat it
So
before it
173?
gets down to the,
Okay, I'll mention that.
So 30 plants is enough?
What'd you say?
30 plants is enough?
It's a good place to start.
Well, he's gonna have to.
That way to do the calculation on the
Once, he'll have
linear
to
and,
calculate if it is enough.
With a
the
6 foot on
separate-
center?
Mhm.
Okay, all right. Oh, minimum 6 foot on center, okay,
Right.
yeah. One plant per, not a tree every 6 feet, at least one plant every 6 feet. Trees, well,
You know, some plants.
shrubs are usually 6 foot on center. Yeah. So yeah, it's every 6 feet, but because it's 10 feet, you know, you've got some depth to it.
Yeah.
And then the more herbaceous ones, and you have on your list, are more like 1 to 3 foot on center.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
okay, all right, we'll talk.
So, you know,
I'll go.
a violet plant 6 foot on center is just, you know,
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah,
Did you
All right,
want an
thanks.
update on 73? Did you?
Yeah, would you want to update on 73 Hartwell,
yeah.
the appeal
So it's
there?
pretty much the same thing you
Yeah.
were talking about the other one. So I talked to the botanist today, and she was talking, she has sent a couple emails to the person from DEP, Gary.
Gary,
And he
yep.
hasn't gotten back to her yet. She does have the data sheets, she just wants to make sure, you know, his request was to go meet with her out there, and he hasn't gotten back to her. So I think we might just submit the data sheets and say, hey, you know,
Yeah.
it's in your court now.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Enforcement order, 10 Fort Pond Road, Acton, Littleton, U-2718.
Hi, you want-
Hi.
coming back? Amy, you were out last week?
She and I went out last week.
Yeah, that was the last time I was out.
And the commissioners, you've been out, I've been out. Okay.
All right.
So what have we done for erosion?
I can't remember what you
control?
saw. So the erosion controls are up. There's a series behind the gazebo, or you want to call it. And then, I'm trying to remember, there's a line just below the driveway. And then there's a line between the canoe, kind of at the top of the bank, between the canoe and the, was that a dog leash area, whatever that was, over on the side.
Thoughts, comments on stability and,
Just wanted to add, I think it wasn't the same day they did the wattles, I think it was last Tuesday we had all that rain, and they went down and raked that sand away, took that away too, what I heard. There was some
Wattles?
sand,
the sand that was put there underneath the picnic area?
right, so
Okay.
they removed that.
Okay. So what's underneath that?
Just what was there before,
Okay.
and I asked them about it, and they said it's actually pretty hard, and they would just leave it.
Well, I went out with Amy, and I guess I have a different opinion of what Sarah has.
Why just me? Jim, you haven't even gotten the feelings of the other committee.
Well,
It's
I
something
know
that, it's
you're-
something that wasn't permitted and it's within the buffer zone. So
would you
let's,
let me finish, okay? My feeling is, I think the gazebo and the crushed stone is a plus, because it's gonna take care of some of the water that's coming down off the hill. Granted, it is in the buffer zone, and I don't see a need particularly to move it. I also looked at the driveway, and the wattles, I believe were in at that time, and going down to the lake has been stripped of any debris, tree debris or anything that would have been trapping the water from going down off the driveway. So that created a lot of the washing that we were seeing going into the lake. I feel as though he should contact his engineer to find out what kind of maybe wood chips, bark mulch, or something that should be placed on top of that area between the driveway and the lake to stop the erosion. I also feel that he should be filing a notice of intent, and he's gonna also have to come up with a plan as built before he gets done. But by filing the notice of intent, he is late doing it, so he will have to pay double for it. And I think that's, maybe would be a fair way of dealing with this. But I do think he has to have an engineer go out there and advise him as to how to stop the erosion. That's my opinion, and I know some of the rest of you have been out there, and you all have your opinion, but that's what I saw when I went out.
Well, you're entitled to your opinion and your vote.
Yeah.
Just a quick question. Just notice of intent, is that building department?
No, that's us.
No, that's us.
Oh,
That's us. It's, yeah, an
I
intent to do
did
an
file
action.
a permit.
Yeah, it's a separate.
so you have filed with the building department and the electrical after it was built.
Yes.
So I obviously have a different opinion.
Well, that's all right.
And I believe that we have to be extremely careful around the lake, what we allow, what we don't allow, because we don't want anything to be precedent setting within the 100-foot. And we've seen a couple instances where there's been people building things within the 100-foot area of Fort Pond. So I'm all for consistency, and I think we should bring it back out of the 100. Personally, that's my feeling.
Well, I haven't looked at the site, but I would think that we'd want to look at it to see, well, would we have approved it if he had brought in a notice of intent for this structure? Would we have approved it? If so, I really would support Jim's approach, where he's late, he paid double, and we would have to have him do catch up, like do whatever it takes to fix the erosion and fix the problems with it. But if it's not within the 50, if it's only within the 100, I don't know if we'd have him remove it. That would be my opinion.
The problem is that then you're kind of directing people to build things and come in afterwards.
Well, we're penalizing him though.
Yeah, but we haven't got much choice. It's what it is now, and that's what we gotta deal with. It's just like the guy with over the Manawanaki and that issue. And all that drainage stuff that we haven't even seen the plan that was supposed to have come in.
But there's no structure there, so I went down as well as you guys know, and I guess, and kind of going on what Anna has said, if this project was before us as an NOI, I know that my opinion would be that it's way too big.
But we don't have in our regs, we don't have a rule about
But we'd have
square footage.
Sure, but from like I would want an assessment from an engineer as far as like stormwater coming off the roof, the impacts of the construction, the cut in the slope that was made, and whether that erosion was controlled properly or not. I think there are a lot of steps that were, by virtue of not understanding, what needed to happen in the first place. I'm concerned that, cutting the slope, pushing soil back, and putting something that if we had input, I can't see that we would have.
Right. I think we would have also questioned the electric leading to it, because that drives a different use potentially for that than just being used as a pavilion, kind of get out of the weather kind of thing.
But we also don't have any rules about use.
I have a problem with not having steps or a permanent walkway coming from the gazebo down to the driveway, so that you would be going across the grass that is seeded, that he's got all the jute on. I would want something more definite that would be used so that doesn't get beat up.
And this is part of the process that
Yeah.
was completely
Yeah.
skipped, which is part of the problem.
Well, but I think both those issues could be made up for now by requiring it as a part of an NOI, as part of the conditions, order of conditions. We could say you need to address all stormwater issues.
So what do we say to the next
Steps
guy?
in.
What do we say to the next person that comes in that's building within
They-
100 feet?
Well, everyone needs to follow the law. I mean, and we will penalize them if they don't.
It's outside the 50 feet that we're so concerned
That's
about.
no build.
That's,
It's within the 100 though, which you regulate.
well, the 100, we
But
let
you're
people.
impacting the 50 because you've changed the pervious impervious
That's why I'm
ratio.
saying he needs to come in with a notice of intent to take care of that. I mean, there's other people along there that haven't taken the debris and the leaves away.
Well, if I can just add, so there's an association fee, and so I know my fee goes to paying for taking debris away and such.
But you
We
would-
don't, we have a private, if, a branch falls or something, we just, guy I've been using for 20 years that did the work does it, but
But you
Um,
cleaned it, that's the problem. You cleaned the pine needles and the leaves, that if they'd been left there, that would have slowed down the water going to the lake. I think that's a primary.
It's difficult to slow that water down because of the slope.
Well,
No
But
matter
now you
what's-
have a roof.
Right.
And
yeah, but you got
increased usage.
crushed stone that the roof drainage is going into.
Well, I guess an engineer will tell us that.
Well, that's,
Because you don't have vision to know what's underneath. You're going on what the applicant, or not applicant, the owner states is there. You don't know what was put there. You don't know what was changed of the topography. That's the challenge of doing things after the fact.
well, that's why we need to have an engineer and as-built plans done.
If
Yeah.
I could just add,
Sure.
the electricity is just for lights, it gets pitch dark down there, it's tough to see, and we
You
have
can use solar.
relatives in their 80s that are.
There's lots of alternatives to
And
power.
happy to put a walkway, whatever you want in there, but again, it's just the
You-
trade-off,
This
whatever you
is
guys
just,
want.
this is just stuff
And
off
older,
the top
so
of
you
my
can't
head.
park
You
5 more
need
cars
to have
there.
this put on paper
Okay.
and engineered.
area.
And you also need to file a notice of intent.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
Then you're looking at the
Agreed.
whole site, because you've changed the topography
Yeah.
across the
Right,
street,
so we're looking at
what
the whole
goes down,
site.
because you're
Yeah.
looking at his whole lot,
Mm.
not just looking
How
at the
far up
plan.
the hill do you own?
I own 10 acres, so I live on Fort Pond Road in Acton. So intersection of Newtown Road and Fort Pond Road in Acton, though, not Fort Pond Hill Road. So
Just a
I'm at
survey
literally the
plan.
opposite end, as far as you could be from the pond.
So a survey
And I live in a
plan would
little
show
log
you
cabin.
that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so he's under enforcement order, so you have to give him guidance.
We'll start with is a notice of intent.
Okay. And I filed
Double
that.
the
Good, you
fee,
can always deny the notice of intent, and you can also issue a fine.
right. Well, it's double the fee already.
Yes, it's double the fee, but it is single-family home accessory use, so it's not much of a fee to begin with.
Mm.
I filed that with your office.
People that go out there.
I filed that with your office.
There's,
Yes,
Notice of intent? Is that a?
it's what Stamsky and Area did for you, for your driveway. That whole-
I wasn't involved in that, but is a form just something I grab from your office? Or,
You'll need an
fill it
engineer
out?
because it has to be surveyed.
Oh, okay.
yep.
So you're gonna want
Survey,
Topo.
Exactly.
So-
you
so
know,
it's
stormwater
understand
management,
where the
landscaping,
Yep.
So I
stabilization.
guess my question is, do I need to get in there quickly and just file the notice of intent, and then it comes with all this other engineering, all the engineering components as they,
Well, you have to provide all that information
at the same time?
as you file, yes.
Okay, so I
As-built
just
plan.
wanted
You
to
do it all,
make
you do
sure
it
I-
all together, so it
Okay, so
doesn't
you don't
come
expect
in,
it like tomorrow?
doesn't come in
No.
piecemeal.
No, that's not
Right,
possible.
right.
Okay, that's what I needed to understand.
But
But
you will
if-
need to reach them quickly so that they can survey before you're under bigger snow cover.
I'll call them
That's,
tomorrow.
that's the
And
bigger
if you
time.
drag your feet on it, then there'll be repercussions of it.
No, I'll call them tomorrow.
I don't know what that would be, they can still use it, so.
Yeah. I don't think they're gonna be using it a whole lot this time of year.
No,
Get on that next year.
not at all.
Is it screened?
Yeah, it's just screens, just to keep the mosquitoes out.
So when do you need him to come back in? Not until, because he's, if the site is stable, he doesn't need to come back in until the notice of intent, but you have to give him guidance of, the notice of intent has to be filled by X day. So you have to pick,
Yeah, well, the December 3rd meeting, you missed the filing date for that, so
Alternate,
the
yeah.
filing date for December 17th would be December 5th.
So they're
so I
gonna
don't,
have
I
to-
doubt
you're not gonna get.
anybody
I'm
get
guessing they're
anywhere
going on
this
Yeah, it's
Thanksgiving
gonna be-
vacation, and
Yeah.
so I would think that's gonna be.
I know. What you should do is you
They
should.
may be able to start them.
My suggestion is January 7th is your third
I'll-
meeting
I'll-
out.
I will send you the meeting schedule,
Perfect.
and
Then
then you
you
can
have
have
to
your
set-
engineer, whoever, give me a call, and we can.
Okay,
So
yeah, I'll
get
do,
through it.
Stamps
Yeah.
again, except Bill's not there anymore.
Throw a date out.
Yeah.
You can't, it's enforcement, so you have to give him a date that it has to be
Yeah.
done by.
So it seems like January 7th because, you know, after a few weeks, they're not gonna be able to get out, so it seems like the January 7th meeting,
So file by December 26th.
December 26th. It's before Christmas.
Right after Christmas.
People are still, people are working, I mean, it's, yeah, I'd aim for that date.
Okay.
Because if it, I'm concerned that if it gets pushed out, we're in
And the other-
April, May.
the other issue is you gotta seriously maintain the erosion controls there. Stay on top of them.
Do you want me to put little stone walls where the wattles are, something more permanent? I mean,
Talk
the
to
thing I was
your
thinking about is the
engineer.
balance of
your
them disturbing
engineer,
again.
yeah,
you
your
know? I don't
engineer is-
wanna-
You're gonna work in unison with your engineer, and your engineer's gonna bring in the notice of intent suggestions for you,
Okay.
which will then come to conservation, and will say either it's appropriate or not, and send you in different. So
Okay, gotcha.
a notice of intent very rarely is lockstep, one meeting, you're done. So he'll have to go out and, you know, read back minutes and understand the concerns of the commissioners.
Okay.
But in the meantime.
But you have to contact, he's the person, or your engineer is the person, he or she, that's gonna be your time to get out.
And if he comes up with something really different in the erosion controls, you need to call Amy and have her advise you on it.
I'll have them call Amy anyway, just to make sure we're on the right path.
Yeah.
So I
We
don't-
can meet out there, assuming we can get out there.
Thank you.
And I don't think, you know, the building permit is not gonna be issued, let alone, I don't know how you work an occupancy permit on something like this. So I've told the building department, you know, you can't issue a building permit.
Yeah.
So theoretically, you can't use it. It's not like it's a house you can't move into, but it's sort of
Hooked
a,
up without it on.
yeah.
It's neither here nor there at the
Yeah.
moment.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
You need the webpage, is there something I missed on that?
Um,
Talked about that.
I was looking at it, and it's got a lot of old stuff in it, so I don't know if anybody wanted to, I was just gonna kind of update it a little bit.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody else wanted to take a look at it too, or I'll just start messing with it. There's a lot of old projects mentioned in there.
Is that in WordPress, or what is that in? So do you have to submit changes, or can you change it?
No, I can change it.
Okay, good.
Is that something that we would also be kind of considering something about for the town report ahead of time? Any notes or something that could be kind of falling into place before?
Yes, they are all over, having all the web pages updated and look nice, having the town report be more interesting, which is always a challenge. I don't know, I did 10 site visits, how many ways can I say it? So we're working on it, which is why I started looking at this again.
Did I see something from the attorney, or something about issuing tickets or something?
I had asked her about doing fines and penalties, just because I've never issued a fine or penalty, in case you wanted to do one on this guy.
What, we did that once, and it ended up, I went to court with the individual, and it turned out, it went to the air court, and the judge was not really sure what the problem was or how to handle it.
That's because it wasn't, that was Steve Marsh, and that's because it wasn't defined clearly enough. I think
Well,
if you had the definitions, especially on the website or whatever, especially when an enforcement order is given, you're very transparent so that you know.
But it seems like that might be kind of a last resort of, just because somebody's gotta go to court with it by the time you get,
If they refuse to pay.
yeah.
It's a separate form as well. Little booklet.
Well, there's tickets you can issue, or you can vote to assess a $300 fine as per the bylaw.
I guess he contested it, that's why you ended up in court. And I got there in time to
To see the
catch you
end.
walking out the door.
Yeah.
So the red lines on this are new changes?
Somewhat new. New over the last year.
Ongoing.
Literally, as I was trying to dig this out. So I believe everything is in agreement, but obviously let me know, except for the very last sentence, I think. Section 6.2 or something. Section 6.1, item 4, on page 17.
Right, so this was to catch the single-family home quasi loophole,
Yes,
Yeah,
basically.
that
Yeah.
comes into the 1,000 square foot of 5%.
so I mean, for example, one of the properties you saw tonight, hasn't run through the 8 standards of the DEP, you know, so how much do you want a single-family home? To show you. Obviously, Bruce Ringwald, for the 3 houses, did a lot, and it needed it, as it turned out. It seemed to me anyway.
Right.
But
Yeah,
the
it was
question
like
is,
an
when
acre
someone
of
like,
impervious surface.
Yeah.
when someone
And there's
like
clearly drainage
67
issues.
mil, or even this gazebo comes in, what do you wanna see? Before when, I can't remember who it was, one of the houses, the first one that came in, I said, run through the 8 standards and say how you meet them. And
Got a checklist.
most of them are very easy
Yeah.
for a single-family home, to
Yeah.
say you meet it, and then that's where a lot of people start putting in Coltex or driveways or something
Yeah,
like
I
that, to meet the
was asking
storage
tonight about the,
and runoff.
yeah.
The drywall needs a TSS, said, well, write that down.
I like this. What are other people's feelings?
Yeah, I'm happy with this sentence as well.
So, if you're
So we
ready to
vote-
let this go, this would go to the Board of Selectmen next,
Right, so,
for approval.
and if you catch something at the last minute, if something changes, you can make an amendment to it. So you would like a vote on this?
Do we have a fine schedule?
Yeah, so it's just.
Have what?
See when
Do we have a
fines-
fine schedule, like, for, say we did want to issue this guy a fine, is there a schedule of what a fine would cost? Or we just make it up?
The fines are in the bylaw itself, it's $300 for every day that it's in place.
Well, we're not gonna charge him $300
Oh,
every
no,
day.
but you can.
We could.
But those are ones that are
Well,
like.
let's do it.
But mostly
Come on.
When you have something that's flowing
You wanna
and
set a
they're
precedent,
not
Or, yeah, if you
working
tell
on
someone to
It's
stop and they don't,
egregious.
you wouldn't find.
No, I understand. So he stopped.
If you tell
Right.
someone like this to stop,
Right,
Right.
you
so
charge them $300.
$300,
And
basically.
then kind of give them a break, but,
Right, but it's like
but
when
if he
something's
was
going
saying, you know,
wrong.
get lost,
Yeah.
you could add them up.
Continuous.
Right,
And
exactly.
DEP, in the enforcement order, DEP
Right.
says that they can issue up to $25,000 in penalties. So it's stated right in the enforcement order.
Right, right. I mean, something like that sends a message, if nothing else.
But does that, okay, so
And I
that
think
doesn't need to be.
filing a notice of intent also
and-
will let all the abutters think about, you know, that they gotta file something.
Right.
I mean, the reason I was down there was someone called me down to take a look at their trees, because they wanted to cut down.
So we can decide that the next time we get together? Right.
So I think the only other things this thing really did is it expanded what a public interest is, to give you a little more latitude. It did not, we took back out all the potential grandfathering type stuff, because it was getting too difficult to decide, are they allowed 5% more, are they allowed 10% more? I think those are really,
Out of curiosity, where this, to go back one step, what we were discussing a little bit ago, where he owns 10 acres, does that make a different approach to things? I mean, it's not like a 1 or 2 acre building
We
lot.
could have put it
it's a-
someplace else, is that what you're saying?
But it's 10 acres that he's,
yeah, it's tough. I mean, because he's the one with the driveway through the vernal pool. And, you know, can you put the second house someplace? So,
Yeah.
but I was just wondering if, does that...
but obviously, the intent of this gazebo is to be next to the lake.
Right.
Yeah.
And supposedly he stuck it on an existing footprint.
Foundation, yeah.
I have no idea if he did or he didn't. It seemed awful flat to me. Like, how do you find a flat piece of land like that?
That's why,
But
Okay, you've already,
No,
you've already
yeah,
closed.
Oh, I
that.
closed
We
it,
were
okay.
talking about
I was
that.
just, extra discussion.
I was just wondering if it were, does the size of the lot depend on how you treat a single-family home?
Yeah, well, it's
Well, it
looking at
depends.
alternatives. Can you get
If
out?
you have
of-
alternatives, right. I think that's
Right.
what it comes down to, is alternatives analysis.
And if you can't get out of the buffer zone, therefore you are in our regulations. So I feel like
Right.
it doesn't really matter how much land you own. If you are impacting the buffer zone, then you need, and you're
Right.
subject to our regulations, then you're subject to. And I think we've seen a couple examples now, one of which was, Bruce Street with all the different, with, high groundwater and wetlands and the different drainage issues. And then creating like half an acre or more, an acre of impervious surface, and so clearly it actually was needed, because after the calculations and the analysis, the analysis was done, drainage was changed, and there were swales added and capacity added, and things moved around, and so I thought that was valuable, and then I think in the case of, the small parcel right on the pond, it's a small structure, but it absolutely will be impactful to the water quality running off to the lake. So I very much think, there's a really good reason that we have these processes in place, and I think we need to keep them. I was actually, sorry, go ahead.
No,
Sarah.
no.
I was gonna change the subject.
Yeah.
I was wondering, the waivers, so there's, kind of a high bar on purpose, which there should be for a waiver from the regulations, for sites that it might be impossible to meet any of the bars. I'm wondering if a mitigation fund would make sense, which would allow, or is that's slippery?
That's slippery.
Yeah, okay. It was just a
Well,
thought.
You're saying
Well,
you
I
can-
was
you
trying to
can
think of
buy
something
your
that's
way
a
into
mill
a permit, is that what you're
For
saying?
67 mills, like, can they?
I know, it sounds really,
Do you mean like an escrow account?
no, or like just a town fund by which you can use to, and it would have to be like a large worth it amount,
Yeah, what is
to
that?
help.
We're kind of dealing with that in Acton, and town council's like, no.
I don't think you
obtain
can
open
use
space, no.
mitigation.
Because basically they're saying.
That's not the right word
You're
for it,
almost,
but-
you're not taking a bribe to
you're
allow
trying to
it, but
use-
Yeah,
Yeah, you're
it's
funding a
tough-
private
I agree.
You're
private
trying to
project.
use
It's a tough-
mitigation as a method of getting a permit.
We've done that with trees, and
Right,
it's
it's
tricky too,
can't-
because
Yeah.
what is the actual value of the forest,
Right.
and they wanna cut
Yeah,
it down to
natural
put in solar
resource
panels, and they're like, okay, that's
Yep.
great, but you could put that on top of a roof, you can't replace this acre of land.
And somebody with
No,
deep,
definitely not.
somebody with deep pockets
Especially
would
for,
be worth their while to give you a couple $1,000 to get
Well,
what
it
they
would,
want.
I feel like it
Yeah.
would need to be a lot more than that, and, there is a value to old growth forest versus the new, there's
Yeah.
very different, value
But
to
it
those.
has worked in dense urban areas where, they were required to put in a certain number of trees, but there's physically no room.
Right.
So they would either have a radius in which to try and get that canopy restored, or in lieu of pay into, and then that value is assessed. So
Is-
I was thinking redevelopment, not like new development.
Right.
But isn't that kind of where, in some cases, you have a whole lot that's covered, but if they go and buy another piece of property and bring it,
Into the value.
Yeah.
It's like your dry, your wet and up value.
Well, riverfront area can do that, but they have to do the work. It's not like a fund they buy into.
Okay.
And I imagine there's a reason DEP and the Army Corps took so long to try to figure out in lieu kind of mitigations.
Speaking of high water, if everybody can make
Tricky.
sure they go out and look at the other Four Pond Hill, all the water's flowing down the driveway and crossing underneath the driveway.
But watch out for ice.
Before the notice of intent is filed.
Yeah,
So,
27 Four Pond, yeah.
yeah,
Careful, don't
It's a
run
steep
ice again
driveway.
like we did.
yeah.
Bring the toboggan.
27 Fort Pond, is that the one that's in court?
It's down at the, way at the bottom of the hill.
It's like the third or fourth
South.
house on a common driveway.
Come back.
One
Close
where
to-
fields, and
oh, that,
there's no way, I think, even by what they're proposing, you couldn't get a fire truck down there, you could maybe get an ambulance if it backed down.
You can get it down there.
Can you get it out?
Another fire to get it down.
Yeah, it's gonna be going like this, trying to turn.
That-
You
that
walk
one-
down the
gonna go
hill, then
crashing
you
through
drive
the-
down the hill.
Front yard with
If
a-
it's
Well,
not
has-
racing, you drive down, and it's not much of a turnaround. If there's another car down there, you know,
Yeah.
We should go out there.
you're backing in and out, but.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm not
So what
afraid of
is this
backing up.
guy
Well,
trying
they're
to
gonna-
flip
they're
it?
Yeah, he's trying to flip it, but it needs a lot of work, and stuff was done that wasn't permanent. So, but they'll do
And now it's all
this sort of
moldy, apparently.
Oh.
You have to remove mold.
Yep.
thing. And lice.
All right, I see which one.
Okay.
So getting back to this, we need a motion for the amendments to the wetlands regulations.
Wait, isn't there one that still has a question, like you had
I thought it was just a stormwater.
it was, the 4.2 wetland setbacks for new activities, you have, page 11. It says, AG says, possible, oh, is that you, AG3? Yeah, I guess, Amy Green.
That would be me.
Possible place to allow work in lawns, question mark, a fence or a wall within 50 feet. Is that still a question we need to resolve here?
Up to you, because that was the, yeah, because the regs say, except as noted, no vegetation may be disturbed. So I was wondering, does that include lawn? Can you, which if you read this, it can't be disturbed, so you can't change lawn to lawn by changing the grading, which somebody over at Durkee wanted to do.
Can you go in and reseed the lawn?
If you put, well, see, that was where I was kind of going with
That's
that.
not what that states, though.
No, but I just, it just,
Well, it says no activities are permitted other than passage and removal of invasive vegetation. So we could add or mowing of existing lawn.
Well, existing uses are going to keep going.
Right.
But if someone wanted to
Wait,
put
where
up-
does it say that?
Well, in any, no matter what, existing uses are going to
Always
continue.
exist.
You don't have to move your house, you don't have to stop mowing your lawn.
Okay. So do we need change then?
Well, the only thing I was thinking about is because it came up with somebody else, if they wanted to put in a fence or a wall in a lawn, but within the 50-foot, if you read this, it's going to be no. You might be able to put up a fence without changing
be no,
vegetation in your
sure.
lawn, but, you know, so, and, or if you wanted to get looser, you know, you have things about decks or patios that are on footings over lawn. It's in the 50-foot.
what about
Or
somebody,
just leave it the way it is.
what about somebody putting an electric dog fence?
Same idea.
Just a wire under the ground.
Yeah,
It's not gonna do
that's-
anything.
Yeah, disturbing vegetation, but you know, it's that
I mean,
huge
that's like
gray area.
literally a slice of
Yeah.
deck. Although I
It's just putting in a wall or a deck or,
feel like a fence, though. I mean, especially if it keeps someone's dog out of the wetlands, or keeps someone's dog out of, I don't know.
But yeah, it's tough. I mean, if it's,
Thinking out
if it's
loud.
disturbing nothing but lawn,
And so they would need a waiver to put in a fence?
But isn't there something about they have to have a wildlife, they have to be able to go underneath the fence?
Now, this would, you wouldn't require a waiver, because you're, in this say, it's saying what's allowed in a no disturbance area, so you could say, you know, you could say minimum, we could say de minimis activities such as installing,
or you say no natural
Fence.
vegetation.
Hmm?
Or you say no natural vegetation.
no natural vegetation?
Except as noted, right now it says, except as noted, no vegetation may be disturbed. You
Oh,
could change it,
oh.
except as noted, no natural vegetation may be disturbed.
Somebody wants to put in a fence to keep the kids in, never mind the pets. I mean, that would not be uncommon, and you don't want them, and you're trying to keep them out of the pond or the wetlands. Which
But
would
yeah,
be-
so
would
it's-
be
If you wanted to
unrealistic.
change lawn to like service berry and pollinators, like you're technically can't do that, is that?
Without a waiver, yeah.
I mean, could we, maybe that would be too, how about,
But
could
as
we
soon
say?
as you open the door for one thing, you
Yeah,
start opening
that's
the
my-
door for patios and
Yeah,
decks and stuff, so
I
it's.
feel very
it's sort of
differently
a
about
weird-
those. I feel very
Gonna
differently
say no
about that.
permanent
than-
structures other than a fence.
Yeah, what if they put up something, a heavy-duty fence?
Yeah, I mean, some fences can be very disruptive.
Right.
And rock walls aren't really all that and, you know, wildlife can go back and forth across a rock wall. Those aren't really a problem at all.
We could
But
say
they're disturbing the vegetation.
we could say naturalization of lawn and low-impact fencing is allowable.
Or what's low-impact fencing? You have to give,
That would be, up to interpretation by us.
It could be part of the waiver.
But we want we want to describe activities that you can do without having to submit a waiver. That's my interpretation of this part,
Either that
this
or
paragraph.
have it so that they at least come in and talk to us before they do
I mean,
it.
you're gonna have people that if you mention stone walls, they're gonna be like, oh, that's great, I'm gonna put in a retaining wall, I'm gonna carve out
Yeah, they don't.
more, and that's what you're starting to see now. That you want
Yeah.
people that want to alter what's in the 0 to 50.
Yep.
Now that they've built their homes.
Or bought their homes. not
They bought it,
built
yeah.
them.
Well, maybe it is worth adding naturalization of previously disturbed areas. That's something they can do along with
Mhm.
trails and invasive species.
Well, invasive species is already,
But naturalization of previously disturbed area, you would allow because that's a public interest.
right,
So you would not really need to spell it out.
except this is without submitting a waiver. So, I mean, when you say public interest, that means that's a waiver
Yes.
process.
Yes, that's
And
true. Yeah.
so we want to just describe a couple of things that we would allow without having them to go through the waiver process, right?
Bottom line, you want them to come talk to you before.
Well, they'd have to come talk to you anyway. They'd have to
Yeah.
file an RDA or something anyway. Would they need to file a waiver as well?
I wouldn't list anything.
Keep it as it is?
I think that's dangerous territory.
It does.
Extra fee to file
It's
a
almost a
waiver.
judgment call as to
I think
who's
so.
doing and what they're doing.
Yeah, maybe we wanted to
Look at that.
Is there an
Although-
extra fee, Amy, to file a waiver?
Yes. The fees in there are old.
Yeah, okay, I would say.
But a single-family home asking for a waiver does not double the fee, but any other category doubles the fee.
So what are you talking dollar-wise by the time you advertise it?
A
And,
single-family home is $55 for the bylaw piece.
okay, what about?
So it'd go up to 110. The public notice is, say, 170. The abutters, it depends, it's $10 a shot. So, you've got to record, so you got to put in the paper, that's 170. You got to record it at 75. You got to your certificate of compliance and record that, that's another 75. So that's the normal chain of things.
They don't even cover the
Well, how
fees.
about if we just allow naturalization of lawn in this, but any structure would have to go through the waiver process, like a fence, like a wall, like anything like that would have to go through the waiver process.
You got the other money to, if you're trying to do that, you're looking at what, $300-400 just to put up before you even start to put the fence up?
But, yeah, that's what
But that's what it costs us.
That's what it costs.
That's what it costs us.
No, that doesn't cost us anything.
No, meaning like. to
That's
do
what it costs
ads.
them.
Right, no, that's what I'm saying.
It costs us, we get $55 out of that. All that rest of that money, I just said, is going to the newspaper, or the registry of
Yeah.
deeds.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
Yeah.
How come the newspaper, it used to be, what, $80 or something to?
It ain't no more.
And for Carl, I'd keep it as is.
Yep.
Not even naturalization? You won't let them naturalize the lawn without a waiver?
You're still,
What
you
if you got a
still,
bunch of
people are still
slugs
gonna
that
have to
took
go
the
Mm-hmm.
in
lawn
and,
away?
she's still gonna have to do the work. So we still have to cover Amy's hours, so they're still gonna make a change, we're still gonna have to
Well,
go
they still,
out.
they still have to file notice of intent or an RDA.
Right.
And if it's a single-family home, they don't pay any more for the waiver.
Right. They wouldn't have to pay for the waiver for naturalizing.
It seems like a good idea, maybe the vegetation, I really like that, but then also in the back of my head, I think of certain, if you get a fly-by-night contractor and now they're bringing in equipment or something.
Yeah.
But
Or even someone well-meaning who doesn't understand erosion.
Well,
you know,
not
starts
saying they don't need a
pulling
permit,
stuff up. Okay.
just saying they don't need a waiver
Oh, sure.
to do it.
Yeah, okay.
But it's, you raise the bar, everyone's focus is a little more on it, because they're working in there. I mean,
Right.
if Parley wanted to come in and naturalize their 50-foot buffers, wouldn't that be nice?
Yes, it would be very nice. Well, that's the thing, we
You know,
want
you'd give them a waiver in a heartbeat,
we want to
but you'd
give,
still go through all the details.
yeah, but we want to encourage that sort of thing.
Yeah,
And this is
see
a
that
little
being
bit
a
of
barrier.
encouragement for that sort of action that we could take without making it too complicated.
Right, but 9 times out of 10, we have someone that's gone in and done something that they shouldn't have done.
Right.
And then we're putting in a tremendous amount of hours to catch up. So I'd rather have someone come in, single families aren't gonna get penalized by it, they don't have to do a waiver, and that's really who we're protecting.
Wait, why would
They don't have to pay
single-families-
for the waiver.
They don't have to pay for the waiver.
Oh.
Because they're
Okay.
already doing an NOI.
Or if nothing else, they're at least coming in and talking to you
understand.
so you can advise them.
Yeah, it's not an exemption.
So we'll leave it? I think we should leave it. I think it's a slippery slope
Yep.
to, okay. So, ready for a motion? To make a motion to, accept the amendments to the Town of Littleton Wetland Protection Regulations
And submit to the Board of Selectmen?
and submit it to the Board of Selectmen.
Oh, thank you.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yay.
Now,
I know Andrew would say aye if he was here.
has this,
He would.
has this got to go to town council before it goes to the selectmen, or selectmen?
Yeah,
does-
I'll run it by them again, because she's been providing input, well, it was last year, but she was providing input, so I'll let her know it's ready to go. She'll take another look at it, and then we'll get it to the Board of Selectmen.
I was just wondering if it was up to the Board of Selectmen to have town council review it, or is it up to
They
us?
know that she's been working with me already on this stuff.
Have we had any progress on the new administrator, or heard anything more about
They're talking about it tonight. at the
Yeah, they are
meeting.
talking about it tonight.
There's an update tonight.
Don't hold your breath. This is not gonna be fast, I wouldn't think.
No, I think there's a bunch of applications from what I've heard, so.
Oh, that's good. So-
But that's on their agenda for
Yeah.
tonight to discuss, but I've heard there's a bunch of.
There wasn't very many in the parking lot, there wasn't.
I know, the parking lot was pretty empty. You got here
Right.
late tonight too, but, I don't know. I
If
think they're
they-
just updating, I don't think like all the applicants are coming in, I think it's just an update from that committee, is my understanding.
Well, they gotta probably sort through the applicants and figure out 6 or 7 that they wanna see.
Yeah,
Wait,
there's
what
a
committee
committee,
is it? What are you talking about?
it's
Or the
the
administrative.
town
Keith's
administrator's
job.
selection committee.
You looking for a new job?
Did anybody else besides me go to Jimmy Clyde's retirement? Did you end up going? I know you were
No,
gonna
I
talk about it. Yeah.
didn't. I should have, but I
It was
didn't.
pretty fun. It was in a highway
By
garage,
myself
and they
with
had,
kids.
a big front end loader full of ice with the sodas and stuff in it.
Ah.
Perfect. It was absolutely perfect. You know, tables all set up and
As the
everything.
snow is flying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
He was he's plowing for his he was working for Cataldo.
Good.
Did you go to
Nice.
Keith's?
Yes, yeah. Very different affair, as
Very
you would
different.
expect.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, I make a motion to adjourn at 9.
Did anyone have any feedback for the other pages?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
I forgot that was on
I
there.
just need links and things like that,
What is it?
additional resources. We were just trying to update the old kind of info sheet. Oh, yeah. Just trying to get more info.
This is what MACC did, so you can grab a copy of that too, which I think you already have, but.
And
So
then-
this is gonna be the format, a page like that instead of a brochure type thing?
Yeah, because then it could just be, it could be displayed online as well.
Right.
People could click on
And we
it,
can hand
download
it to the new.
Yeah.
Can this
users.
be put in the kiosk? This, or is it not readable? As far as,
Like pinned up.
So the white one is what MACC had done. We bought a bunch of those. And the green one is what Matt's been working on.
So just anything, any other, things to be highlighted that we could fit in, just send them to me. I'm on the email chain. That'd be great. And then just looking for, more resources and links and, the idea, just information that people are gonna, just a real quick thing that people can look at and say, oh, great.
would you want to add also, if you see a violation,
Yeah, stuff
what
like
you
that.
should do, but like, I'm more concerned, like if somebody sees like an oil spill or something, like just to put DEP's number in there. Like, hey, you can always call us, but if it's something that looks like it's bad, just because they answer all the time.
Oh, it should be a Mass DEP,
Oh, you've got the link, but maybe just a telephone
capital
number?
M, small a s s, and then capital D.
Yeah, this is DEP Wetlands Protection, it would be DEP Bureau BWSC for spills. I
I
have
know
them.
there's a hotline, is there?
Yeah, there is a hotline.
Hotline.
I have them
Maybe
in,
put in the
It's in my phone.
PWC hotline
write them into
Or
my
the,
SPCC plans,
for the central
although
region.
not anymore, but.
Assume they have a hotline.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a spill hotline.
I did it
Would
for
you
the
want to
near.
promote being a land steward? Sorry, I haven't read this whole thing, it might be in there.
Yeah,
Oh.
sure.
But like, if
That'd be
somebody
good.
wants to be a land steward?
Oh, sort of speaking of which, there's gonna be empty garden plots if anybody knows somebody who wants a garden plot.
Vegetable
Do we
garden?
price
Yeah.
people out?
Does that need to be advertised?
In
I'm
here?
not sure, I was gonna try word of mouth, see if maybe the rec department, get the word
You
out
could put it
somehow
on the
maybe.
Could we
website.
have it on
That's what I
here?
was thinking.
Nobody looked at the website. I should see how many hits are on the website.
How about Facebook? Is it more
See, a
popular
lot
now
of
than
them
website?
Gotta be.
And any sort of tie into conservation land, I just was kind of at a loss, so.
Maybe ask them to put in, well, if they could put in a link where they would find trails or the property that is preserved.
Something like that.
Although,
Mhm.
That's already on the webpage too.
yeah, I feel like too many links
Yeah.
people forget.
Especially too many links on something printed, I'm not sure. They're super.
But that's something really of interest, I think.
If you can think of, if you
Yeah.
think of a really awesome bullet point, just send me the language, I'll just put it in, you know.
Okay.
But I'm just sure that there's lots of neat things that are missing.
Do you think you could make like a QR code that somebody could scan so they could find this online?
Yeah.
People still use those?
QR codes?
Joking.
I was gonna say, what do you mean still? I didn't figure that one out yet.
Is
No,
that-
I say I never.
I don't know if it's
I'm
appropriate
not an
enough,
early
but is
adapter.
this a page that you could put, town also has garden plots?
But that's, we haven't had openings in a while, so I don't know. This is the
Well-
first time we've had openings.
I mean, it's, you gotta advertise it
I'm all for
some.
making rec department take over the garden plots.
Ah, hey, we have that ag representative?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't
that's
know.
true.
Then if there's something that comes up that someone hasn't cleared their plot or
It's feasible.
water leak, it's gonna come back to us anyway.
Yeah.
Money won't go back into the garden.
Good point.
So continuous work in progress, so whatever you want to send in, just send it along.
And how are we gonna get a map, an example map of a
I don't know, I
residence?
tried doing stuff just kind of freehanded and it looked pretty junky, so I don't know if anyone had
Yeah, it's hard to get
ideas.
something that
Just
small. I
What
mean,
are you
I've got all the plans in
I don't know.
PDFs, but
Yeah, just I thought it'd be neat to
Oh,
have a
oh,
little
oh.
visual representation of a rectangle with some lines going past it.
My son is into architecture, maybe he could just, or something, he's got free time this week.
Oh, there you go.
We could try it.
And the problem with this sort of stuff is, you know, the image actually has to have a certain resolution, a certain quality, or else when you reproduce it, it just looks bad. You know? So I just
The
trying
website
to
quality, like
capacity to make it
PGA
look
or whatever.
yeah, so I don't know.
PGN, sorry.
I have time this week, but I have none of my tools anymore. I had to hand my laptop
Matt, when
in.
you have Littleton's adopted local regulations, is it possibly could link to the local regulations?
Yeah, good idea.
'Cause,
well,
you-
is this mostly gonna be something that we hand to people? Or is it gonna be a link on the webpage?
I don't know.
Or it's-
Right, there'll be an online
it
version with
should-
live
yeah.
links, and then
I was just
Yeah.
thinking,
one
you
that's
brought, you
done.
brought it up, but then it kinda ends. Like, Littleton's adopted local regulations that are stricter than the act. Be nice if people could see what those were, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
How about
Yeah.
Littleton's an agricultural community?
Is the seal on there?
in the upper left.
There's all kinds of signs going into other towns, but Littleton has not, doesn't have anything that says that they're an agricultural community friendly.
Yeah,
There's nothing.
Yeah, we should have something. Who does that?
You go into Harvard, you go into
Yeah.
Groton, you go into Air,
The Right to Farm Community?
yeah, something
Yeah.
like that, yeah.
How do you get that?
It should be up to the Ag Commission to promote something like that, I would think.
So that's where you enter the town, it has something
Yeah.
like that? I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I mean, we got one for the sports. If you come down
Yeah, from Air.
110 2A, right by the old Shirley Upholstery place.
I think that'd be important for Littleton to have something like that.
Yeah, what was this?
To have a right to farm sign that says this,
Oh,
or
yeah.
a friendly agricultural
Somebody, one of the local
signs.
sponsors.
If you go up Harvard Road, there's one going into
I
Harvard,
did, 'cause I
it's right at
found
the
it
town
before I
line.
got chickens.
If you go into Air or Shirley, I think there's something of that nature. That there's Bolton maybe too.
Yeah, I
Great,
let's
thanks.
see.
I would list all the,
But that also reminds me, I have still not totally figured out how the CPC works in town. It sounds like you
Oh.
apply any time, it's not like a
Yeah.
deadline.
Mm.
So first
When
come,
you meet with
first
the committee.
served.
It is. No, it really is.
So if anybody has any projects,
It
or,
just has to be on the, like, before the warrant to get onto town meeting, so like, which is May or March,
March is
Before the
the
May one.
deadline
so.
to get on the warrant.
yeah, but don't they vote to recommend?
Yes, they do.
Before
So you have
then,
to meet with
so-
CPC.
Right, right, right.
If
So,
they've
yeah.
if they've used up the money
Right.
before you get in there.
But the money only gets doled out at town meeting.
Yeah,
Oh, right to farm bylaw, Littleton, Massachusetts. Right to farm is hereby recognized to exist within the town of Littleton. Moreover, nothing in this right to farm bylaw
This
shall be deemed
example
as.
picture, you want something that we already have, I mean, will we need to get permission from?
I took both those
Uh-huh.
pictures, so if there's just any neat photographs out that kind of help tell the story, worth 1,000 words, all that good stuff. So I don't know if there's a
City
good
Person
Conservation
intent.
Commission photograph.
How about the town forest sign?
Oh, that's not bad. It's gonna
That-
be,
Wait, which I-
underwater right now.
which I don't think is an official town forest, because remember, I was trying to track it down to see if there's any money for, it's not on the town forest list.
Gordon Bulka, that was his thing, that he maintained or took care of the town forest.
Access was a challenge on that
Yeah.
one too.
Jim O'Neill found a trail through there.
Has to be super dry.
Yeah, well, not he found a trail, he's got one marked out that could be
It really should get forested.
put in through there.
Heaven forbid you're gonna cut down a tree.
Yeah,
So
Matt,
should
we
no
just-
kill and some of the
we
rest
say
of
in
them.
the first paragraph, the commission also maintains conservation lands owned by the town. You should put, that are open, something that the public can use them, something, because sometimes, I don't know if all conservation lands are open to the public or not,
Wouldn't it be?
I don't know.
I mean, I can't think of anything that isn't.
I think by definition it is, but there might not be a trail on it.
It's like we got one going off of Harvard Road down by what was very fine that hasn't been done or completed, but there's a parking there.
Do you feel as though you would want to put something just as a reminder that properties are open, dawn to dusk?
Yeah.
Because you have new people that might not know, and Julie brought up a
Yeah,
good point that
open.
we could mention that, we
That is
are-
posted, or it should be posted
that
on
we're
all
a
the
right to
kiosks.
farm community as
Yeah.
well, because we're trying to put on the agricultural.
You could just, conservation also maintains conservation lands owned by the town that are open to the public dawn to dusk.
Mm-hmm.
You could just do something like that.
yeah.
The only piece that I can think of that might not be open to the public would be Nagog Orchard.
Right,
I don't think that is
But there is a piece of land, the orchard itself.
but that's not
the
Conservation
orchard
Commission land.
itself, even though
Right.
it's,
That's Board of Selectmen land.
Right.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
that would be the only piece I can think of right now that may not be open.
And there's a lot of conservation restriction lands that public's not allowed on, but that's kind of a
We
separate
could
deal
say
too.
most of which are open to the public.
Hey, you might, yeah.
Well, you have, don't, there used to be some mapping or
Your some
brochure.
mini
that-
trails.
Here, at one point, it showed pretty much all the conservation lands.
Littleton Conservation
Yeah,
Trust is
those-
trying to
yeah.
update all the trail maps on it. And there's also some movement to try to get the trails onto the Littleton GIS mapping. And if I wasn't such an idiot, I could help them with that, but I was like, can I draw with a pen?
And there's been a certain amount that was proposed. I don't know whether down there at the point, there was supposed to have been a trail.
Yeah, I've been bothering them about that.
Was that ever got done?
No, they're supposed to have a conservation restriction on there, and I said, no more building permits until you get that thing, because they're way behind that, so. It's gonna take at least a year to set it up, but,
Well, another one is the Cooper. That's supposed to have, isn't it supposed to be trails or something?
none of that came to you guys.
So you're gonna push the point to open that trail up?
I'm gonna push the point to establish the conservation restriction that would allow trails.
Right, because the trail on the upper half hasn't been built yet, because they're still building up there.
I thought they have a trail along the.
Down below they do,
Yeah.
but it's supposed to connect up top, but it's still.
Yeah, and it's not really a trail, I mean, they built that as part of the berm.
No, I know that, but it's
But it's-
supposed to be a trail.
Yeah, and I know I think Westford's pretty interested.
It was sold to us as a trail.
And Town Fair Tire is refreshing the trail that is behind them and behind the self-storage place, which doesn't, unless you have a serious boardwalk, connect over to the point.
But that's got all that turtle
Turtle.
crossing stuff in there. I think
Yep.
that's it, probably not supposed to be walking.
Which turtle?
No, the conservation restriction allows for trails that Natural Heritage approved.
Where does
Trail
Town Fair
signs.
Tires throw all the tires that they take off?
The wetland behind them. It's a turtle nesting area.
I was wondering, they sell a ton of tires, so do they have a bin and then they take the bin away? Is that how it
Sure,
works?
that-
Oh, yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's
that's what
highly
they were-
regulated. They, so they,
You should go in there. It's very nice.
yeah.
It's been built?
Oh, yes, it's,
Yeah.
they're looking to get their occupancy.
Nice right now. Okay, they probably do throw them in the wetland in the back.
They're super toxic.
So
The,
wait, are we adjourning?
The tires that,
I
or
need
the
a
tire
motion
reefs
to
that were
adjourn
created.
at
Yeah.
They were trying to.
9:27, unless there's any more stuff to be.
I'll second a motion.
All those in favor?
Nice job, Matt.
Aye. Thank you.
All right.